Happy Monday, my buddy teachers. Today is Monday, January 20th. 2020. I'm so happy to be with you. I'm relaxing in my home, enjoying the Dr. MLK Jr. day off. It is a beautiful day. I got a lot of things done and on my way to lesson planning for this week, and everything's been awesome. I want to give you a quick overview of the question. I want to answer this question for you because like a year ago, I didn't know the answer to this question, so I had to do some research because I heard there were other teachers out there doing this awesome thing called a flipped classroom. So what is a flipped classroom? What is that? A flipped classroom? What does that mean? So basically, in a nutshell, in about 1 minute, I'll explain it to you, because I know you're short on time because teachers are always busy. A flipped classroom is different from a traditional classroom. So let me tell you about a traditional classroom first. The teacher stands up in front of the room and the teacher presents a lesson, right? The teacher writes out the standards, writes out the objectives, gets the materials, gets the handout, stands up, does a whole presentation, explains to the students what they want them to do, gives them detail by detail instructions, answers questions, because there's always those that have questions about the instructions, and then proceeds to go into the lesson and do the I do, which is where the teacher demonstrates what they're doing. Then the next part is we do, where we do it as a whole class. And then it is the part where you do the you do. And you might have the students do it with a partner. Turn to your partner, turn to your elbow buddy, and do whatever it is that I want you to do, the math problem, the science lesson or whatever. The next part is, okay, after you've done the I do and the we do and the you do, then there's the independent practice where the student has to do it on their own. And then toward the end of the lesson, then you would do your wrap-up summary, your exit ticket, or whatever it is that you want, to quickly assess whether or not the students learned what you wanted them to learn in that period. So that is the traditional lesson, step by step by step by step by step, right? The Madeline Hunter 9-step lesson plan. We all remember that from back in the day, our teacher credential programs. So now we're doing a flipped. In 2020, we're doing a flipped classroom. So all of that prep work at the beginning, all of those instructions, all of that talk by the teacher will be done ahead of time. And the ideal way to do it, the best way to do the flipped classroom, is where the teacher explains through YouTube with a YouTube video like this. Everything you want them to do. The standards, the objectives, what materials do they need? What is the mindset? What are the discussion questions that they need to think about? What are the page numbers that you want them to go to? What is it that you want them to accomplish? What is the goal? What's the finished product? You explain that to them ahead of time in a video or a podcast, however you want to present it. And then you post this video in Google Classroom where they can go and watch it at home. Now, ideally, they would watch it at home and they would come in the next day knowing exactly what it is that you want them to do, and everything would be perfect. However, we live in the real world. We know kids normally don't do their homework, and they definitely don't watch a video done by a teacher and listen to them talk. No. So in that case, you would put them in a specific part of the room, give them their earplugs, and let them listen to the instructions, and then you would proceed into the lesson. Now, the best part of the flipped classroom is that when you do have students that do watch it ahead of time, and they do listen to your instructions ahead of time, and they do their homework like they're supposed to, you can have those students be the facilitators and lead small group discussions, because they come in with the instructions already in their mind, or they know where to go to get them to refer back to them. They know where to find the instructions. They can actually give the instructions and lead the lesson and explain what it is that you want them to do. And that way, your job is to coach. Go around to each group, ask clarifying questions to make sure they understand what's going on, observe the learning, help the facilitators facilitate the small group instruction. And then at the end, you could do a wrap up and say, okay, come together as a class and let's talk about what we just learned. Talk about the learning process that you just went through. So it is flipped because all of that instruction giving part you're doing ahead of time on the computer, on a laptop, on a video. And then the kids can go back and refer to that. So the goal is that they will be trained eventually to always expect your videos, expect what are we doing tomorrow? They should know that ahead of time and come through the door saying, okay, this is what we're supposed to be accomplishing today. Now, what materials do we need? Oh, go back to the video and find out. So essentially, in a nutshell, the flipped classroom is where you flip it and you put the learning on the students, you put the objectives onto the students, and you put the information onto the students so that they can take ownership. And they don't have to guess, what are we doing in class today? They know it's already posted. It's in the video. It's in the Google Classroom. So when they come through the door, they can get started. They can have their in-depth discussion with their group, work through their project, get a finished product done, and in the end, have a discussion about how well it went and go about their merry way. That is, in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, a flipped classroom. That is the way that I run my flipped classrooms. My students are my facilitators. They run the small group discussions. They go through the learning process and they tell me how it worked out at the end. I just go around as a coach. I ask clarifying questions. I clarify things that they need clarified. And the learning process continues and continues and continues even after they walk out the door. So there you go. I hope that's helpful to you. Have a wonderful day. Love ya. LT in the place to be, your favorite BT buddy teacher. Out.